Bro, just be careful of the retards in chat, bro. Like, I mean, like in VC, bro. Niggas just keep on fucking interrupting, bro.
Yeah, they won't do it. They
Yo,
won't do it.
someone
Alright.
record OBS. Someone record our OBS as well, bro. Thank you.
Alright, so for the recording, it's me versus TDK. He's using void Shiki. So my argument for TDK is to say that it's an essential attribute for TDK. Oh, holy fuck. An essential property of TDK is him winning, meaning when you're thinking of TDK, you're thinking of him winning. This is a hypothetical matchup, meaning we're thinking of void Shiki and TDK, meaning you'd be thinking of him winning. And if you don't think of him winning, you're not thinking of him. And then my scans are all in VC scans. Alright, so like they're all relevant.
Okay, sure. I'll read them all then.
Alright. Read all that shit, boy. I can explain each scan to you and how I think they lend credence to my argument.
Sure, in a bit.
Alright.
Not gonna lie, I'm not reading all of that. So, is it like an intrinsic property of like this character, like from?
You say intrinsic property, that just means to say that is this something that happens by the way of how TDK works, or is it something that
It's just like his being, or is it like a blessing that he got from somebody else, or is it like he's the top character in DC?
I think the way it works is just okay. Yeah, so I'll just explain this. You can like get your answer from this. The way I think it works is that the story of Batman is what is conformed to TDK. So it's like the same way that like someone could write, well, not write, like draw like an extra line on a triangle to create a square. So it's gained this new essential property and turned into this new entity. Hold on. So it's TDK conform. I'll explain. It's TDK man, and the story of Batman is to always win, right? And the way that in which this works is similar. Example, an analogy. Hold on. It would be like saying that like you draw an extra line towards a triangle to now create a square. So it is the case that it is a new entity from its previous entity. So it's still an essential property without contradicting.
Like, is like the story of Batman like written like the Overlord or something? Isn't that where all stories are?
Is it written on the Overvoid? I don't even think this is something. I didn't know if this would be something indexed or some sort of part of the story, like of like the DC narrative. I just understand that there is some sort of narrative that allows this.
When you say it's written, okay, so is it okay? I'm just gonna ask you, like, if you're gonna take this argument with the case, right? So are you gonna argue also that TDK is also above the Overlord? Just to be clear.
He's above the
Or
Overvoid?
is it like since his story is written, the story is gonna be written Overlord because this the Overlord is where all stories are written?
Yeah, I don't know if all stories are written in the Overvoid. I'd like to give some evidence for that if you're gonna claim that. But if it's against the Overvoid and the Overvoid has no sort of attributes that allows him to always win, similar to how TDK does, and I think he would win because that's how his story works.
Repeat that again.
Yeah. So if it's the case that he was to fight some sort of attribute that allows it to always win, then yeah, I think TDK will win. That's just by virtue of TDK.
Okay, before I get the scans for like the Overlord being like before I get the scans for the Overlord being everything, like the place where everything is written, like I also wanted to ask, this is like an intrinsic property. Like, do you take this intrinsic property to be like something that's related to his ontology to win every time? Is it just like a brute fact that he just wins? Which is just going to be in question as to how he's actually going to win, like against my character, for example.
What does that mean to say? This intrinsic property is going to be relating to his ontology.
Yeah, if it's like something intrinsic, then you're saying like it's just like him. Yeah, if it's something intrinsic, then yeah, he just wins like just
factor.
But like if this and if you said what?
I said, what does that mean? What do you mean by brute factor?
Lag?
Yo, who the fuck? No, I think someone else said something.
When I say brute, I mean to say like your character has no other justification as to why he wins.
I don't know exactly what is the maker of him winning. I just know that it is the case that he wins and that this property exists. I think it's kind of
but like if you don't know like what maker of him or the condition of him winning, like or him having this essential property, what's the condition that allows him to have that essential property? Then now you gotta quantify like your character winning over my character through these statements without actually quantifying the statements first.
Yeah, no, I think it's just the case that we understand how the effect is going to work. This effect is like how it's going to map onto other things, and understand that it works in accordance
I don't
to.
think that actually responds to my argument.
You just said I don't know how it's going to apply over to yours or how he would be your character. So it's just the case that I think he's going to beat your character.
Yeah, it's not a just like repeat
hold on.
what
When you say wait, hold on. Let me try to get like accurately capture your point. When you say to map onto your character or give some sort of quantification, all I'm trying to say here, necessary condition for TDK to win, meaning when thinking of him or when having this thing, it would be sufficient enough to say that he will win just by virtue of being a necessary condition. So what allows this thing to exist, I think, is just the story of Batman. Yeah. So if you're going to take that, it's just intrinsic property. I never even agreed to it being intrinsic property. I just think that it's something that's a property of him that he conformed to by virtue of the story that he conformed to. I don't like when you say brute fact, that also means to say that like it's something that exists.
So he gets this as a condition from something else. So it's relative to like the story of Batman. But how would the story of Batman be inclusive?
Sorry, say it again. Oh, okay.
So
So
if it's
the reason
like
I think it's
him getting that from wait. If it's like the condition for him winning is like because of him like the story of Batman. I argue my character conforming to the story of Batman such that it allows for my character to lose to your character because he conforms to the story of Batman.
This is relevant to what I'm saying. Your character is going to conform to my story of Batman. It's just
I think
to say
it's relevant,
that
actually.
TDK. No, I'm going to explain why. That's retarded. So I was saying TDK himself to this story, and by conforming to the story, he is granted this essential property. So the reason as to why I think it will map onto your character is because you're thinking of your character versus my character, and to think versus my that my
but
wins.
If you talk about your character being flawed, then you're not talking about the story.
Do you think of my character?
Just talk about your character being flawed, independent of your character.
So you're lagging out. Repeat yourself. You're lagging out. Repeat
I'm saying like if okay, am I still lagging then?
It was more some muffled, but you sound fine.
I feel like you just made two justifications. You said like if you think about the character, then the character is just gonna lose. But at the same time, you're also saying this happens to be the case because your character conforms to the story of Batman. But if you only Batman, like it only applies to the story of Batman, so it's gonna again like beg the question as to how your character is gonna like apply that condition to my character.
Wait, hold on. When you say this,
how your character actually does that, presupposing that your character is doing this as a brute fact.
Yeah, I don't know why you said that it's presupposed something of a brute fact. Yeah, hold on. I don't know you said the whole brute fact thing. I want you to like elaborate.
I mean, I've been asking you to like
oh my God.
justify how this actually occurs, and you've just been like repeating that your character just does this because he conforms to Batman, which is not informative one.
Oh my God.
Then you said the second justification is that you can think your character, but you thinking your character is independent of the story of Batman, or is you thinking something that's going to be indicative of like the story of Batman intrinsically?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. Repeat the first point.
You
said like three things I quick as fuck.
You did not
repeat the first point.
The condition.
I think it's the most relevant part.
Yeah, the first point is just that you did not justify the condition. You said your character is going to win when I asked you for like, well, what qualities did your character have such that your character is always going to win? Then your second justification was that you're going to think about that character, but like, how does the first justification relate to the second justification? Because your first justification is that your character conforms to the story of Batman. So like, again, which would beg the question, character, the story of Batman is going to apply to my character, and the justification is just like how it's like relevant to like the story of Batman justification.
So I think you're not understanding my point. So my point is just to say that the story of Batman has this property that makes him win. So it's the same way that, like, when you think of a square, we understand that it's have sides. So when you're thinking of this square, you're thinking of it having four sides by virtue of it being the central property. So when you say, how does this map on what caused this thing to happen, this is all relevant to the fact that it is an essential property. As to why the essential property. Hold on. You asked what? Hold on. I'm gonna dismiss. I didn't hear what you said. What? I dismissed that as well. You just literally spoke. So what I'm gonna say here is I'm gonna say that the reason as to why I think this occurs. You also asked like what makes this occur, which I think is irrelevant to what is allowing this thing to happen. holy fuck. The reason as to how I'm granting this thing towards my character is based on the statements attributed to my character stated to have is that anything that could apply to this character is still allowed to. Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish. Hold on, let me finish. I'm going to explain to you why I think it applies. So, firstly, state it's being irrevocable truth on my character always winning cannot be changed. The state or the truth of my character winning is something that cannot be changed. It's also the case. Hold on, you're just speaking what I'm speaking. I'm going to dismiss everything you're saying. Secondly, it's also yeah, I don't know why it keeps on trying to slip in points. It's retarded. It's stated directly that no matter what the author's right, whatever situation the author's right towards my character, what the fuck people saying in chat, then he would still end up winning. So I think that you would have to explain how there be some meaningful distinction between what the authors could write and apply towards my character, which is still allowed in, and to what your character could have, or any sort of trait your character could have, or that your character could be written to have. It's also hold on. Let me also make this claim real quick. It's also stated towards my character. Mr. Mixie states this. He says that my character will always end up winning, and that it's stated this occurs for an infinite panels, which is referential to what the author would be writing. Infinite right, he will still end up winning. So this is the case to say that I think one, it's irrelevant to say what is allowing him to do this thing. We just understand that he has some sort of property that allows him to do the reason onto your character. Any sort of any feature you can apply to your character that's not applicable or can an indication of him winning, which is all, by the way, more expected under the hypothesis to say that he has this essential attribute.
Yeah, bro, like, damn, nigga. Like, I don't think it's more expected, but there is a distinction between your author writing that and, like, this actually being the truth, like, in all possible world, it cannot be like it can be like inconceivable for your character to like lose. The reason why I pass that distinction is because like it's gonna be a knowledge claim. I don't think your author would have any ground to justify how. For example, your character is gonna beat my character even if we grant that your author is like making these claims. But like second of all, like it's even inconceivable to like begin with, or it's even unjustifiable to say your character is gonna beat my character on the grounds that your character also, for example, has parts and your character is not really something that's divinely simple. But granted that your character is not something that's divinely simple, or my character, I'm gonna argue for my character being divinely simple. I don't know how you're gonna beat my, because it's gonna presuppose that my character has a part such that that part can be like, you know, deconstructed from my character's essence, and my character's gonna like undergo like a station that requires like parts to begin with.
That's the toxic we know.
So it's so like from a neutral standpoint, it's inconceivable. And like other than that, if you're gonna like justify like always winning, you still can't do that because you just like going circular. So I don't really care about that. That's how you can conclude.
Yeah, I don't know. I said I was going circular. I don't. I'm gonna give you for that. If you can apply that. First, you said you think it's more expected. I want you to explain why you think it's not more expected. I can explain why it's more expected. I believe that it's more expected because under the scenario where it is the case that it is an essential property, we would be more so seeing these type of scans. These type of scans is similar to saying that I have an expectancy rate of a 100% chance of blue coins coming from a jar, and then I end up picking up ends up being a blue coin, which lends towards that I did that is a blue coin. So just because it's the case that you would see more under this scenario, and it is the case that it is more, then we can say that it is true that it's more expected under this hypothesis. Secondly, you said that you think this doesn't map onto what you think it's a knowledge claim, independently of the author can say or knows. This is stated by a inverse character. I believe that we can use what's stated by the character as something that's going to be dependent on what the author knows. I think this is how fiction works. I can argue it would lead to absurdities if it's the case that you believe that what the characters say or write or express are going to be dependent. Secondly, when you say it's a knowledge claim, I don't understand how it'd be a knowledge claim. It's something that's independent of the knowledge to claim that something, no matter what they write. Again, they could just be writing anything they want. They have thousands of authors. They have many different instances. They can write down things like hundreds of years to where they can write down things, and they're just saying that they don't nothing of what they can write. So it's meant to be explaining independently of just what they know at that time. They're meant to say that thing that would do this thing, which is more expect to say that this is an essential property. So even if it's the case that you believe they don't know what could be applied to their character, it makes more sense to believe that the reason why they're saying this is because they believe it's an essential property, which is independent of saying what could be applied to it. Because you just understand that if something's an essential property, then all possible ways this thing would be the case. Same way that you could say, without the sort of knowledge of what would be applied to a square, that no matter what possible world you're in, the square is going to have four sides. Because in order to correctly encapsulate what a square is, or to invoke a square inside of a possible world, it would have to have four sides. Then these factors are divinely simple. What's the logical contradiction? First, I'm going to ask, do you think your character is divinely simple when you prove that? And secondly, what's the logical contradiction between saying that your character is divinely simple, my character beating yours? I can just defeat your character holistically. Also, being simple is an essential attribute because it could just be the case that I can imagine your character without that thing if it's not an essential property and it's just an accidental. Hold on. You can give that argument after if you believe that you can prove that. If it's just an essential property for that character to be divinely simple, then we can still think of a character that being divinely simple, my character just win. And that's just assuming that your character cannot win if it's divinely simple, which I don't grant.
Okay. So I don't think like the second point and the third point are relevant, so I wouldn't really respond to that. But like the first point about it being an essential property, then I don't think like you understand like what do you mean when you say an essential property? Do you mean like a character like it's just gonna be a necessary trait that your character is just gonna win? Are you saying like this is like an essential property insofar as like it's part of the ontology of your character? Because if you're gonna say it's part of the ontology of your character, then it's not a property to say your character is gonna win. It's gonna be something that's extrinsic. It's that's gonna be something that's related to like your character's properties in relation to like a character's ontology. So it's not. I don't think it's apt to say like it's an essential property to begin with. I just say like maybe it's inconceivable, but saying like it's an essential property like sounds retarded to me. But like regarding like the point of divine simplicity, then yeah, obviously I'm gonna justify that a little bit later. But yeah, you cannot really parse the distinction between it being an essential attribute because you cannot parse the distinction between it being an essential attribute and it being like an accidental attribute because that's not how divine simplicity works. There is no distinction between accidents and maybe an essence. It's just like an essence simpliciter. So the reason why I wouldn't respond to the second and third point is because like I think it's just circular. I already responded to that, so I don't really care about that.
Okay, if you believe it's circular, I don't believe that. What do you mean by like an essential property? Like, are you asking when you ask that it's a part of the ontology? I think this is relevant. A property is just something that's true of something, so it is true that my character will win. And by essential property, I just mean it's the case that this is something that is necessary condition to be on my character. So in order to have my character, it would have to be necessary that he wins. That's all that I mean to say. It's something that's true of my character is to say he will always win, which is also again elaborated on and expanded on and giving credence towards because they literally say it's an error. My character won.
Respond to that. Okay, you done?
No, wait. Did I respond to that? I said that
I was gonna say.
hold on. I was just gonna respond to the divine simply thing. So when you say you're gonna prove, let me prove it now, real quick. And then when you say that, like essences are things that aren't accidents, I want you to prove that. I want you to firstly prove that a divine simplicity is an essence, and that if you were to prove that the type of essence we're talking about is going to be in reference to something that of essential properties towards his essence.
Okay, Toski, do you have any questions for him? Because I'm about to mute him, so you can give your entire thing.
Yeah, like I'm just like confused as to how like really responds to what I said because I was asking like I was asking how would it be like an essential property? Like it just sounds like the character just wins no matter what. If you're gonna say it's an essential property, then it's gonna be something that's a conversation about your character's ontology. You're just skipping the conversation of the character's ontology. So your character has this essential property, but obviously saying your character wins all the time is not a property that you can like ascribe to like any like being like metaphysically and justify like it how it applies like extrinsically, right? But it sounds like an extrinsic property, not an intrinsic property. It's me something that actually considered also to like a second order property. Some I'd say your character is has this essential property related to like your character's ontology. So it's like something that you're making is like something that has like truth value or something. I don't know. Like you're just like making like this. You're just saying like your character has like this essential property insofar as your character is just gonna always win as something It's a proposition that's just gonna hold truth value in all conceivable possible worlds. At least, so I'm still not sure how it relates to your character's ontology. But are you saying that you don't have to discuss your character's ontology? Is that just what you're saying or something like that?
Yeah, when you say ontology, just
Like,
referring to my character's state of being.
yeah, is it like I do conversation about your character's ontology, or are you just like saying that it's like literally an essential property, like in a mereological sense?
When you say mereological sense, what does that mean to say?
Like it's like, I don't know, like part of like your the ontology insofar as like it's maybe a part or the whole of your character, but yeah.
I guess it'd just be like the way it would be true. My character be like I told this analogy like multiple times. It would be true in the same way, in the same sense that like a square has four sides. Like I don't see distinction there. So when you say like we speaking of my character's ontology, like the essence of the state of being my character's in. Like I'm kind of confused when you say that. You don't really expand on that. But yeah, I already told you that like when with properties, it just means to speak on what is something. That's all that means to say. So when I say that, yo, I'm getting fucking like harassed in the chat, bro. Shit, bro. Let me change the VC scans. Say something is a property. That just means to say something is true of something. So when I say that this is an essential, this is something that's true of my character in all possible worlds. I think that how it applies externally is independent of how it would, of how it would work intrinsically. When I mean intrinsically, I mean something that's true of my character, internal and not regarding external things. So it'd just be the case that because my character always wins, um, it would be true that he wins independently of what allows this, because we understand that it is an essential property. And I gave credence to this by showing that the author said what scenario they're in, they'll win. And I also explained, I don't think you even tracked this, is that independent of these characters are saying, if the author doesn't know the character, and regardless of the author's knowledge regarding what they wrote down to that thing.
Yeah, I've heard that argument for the first time, so I don't think expound to it again. But yeah, like
You
I
heard
can
it for
just
the
like give
first
a new
time?
contention, but like I think, yeah,
Hold
no,
on,
no,
hold on. What
I,
did you
I
just
was
say? You
saying
said
like
you
I
heard
already
it for the
heard this
first time?
argument. No, I said I already heard
You
this argument.
like your voice like mumbled out.
But like,
Okay, he meant to say that he already heard it.
yeah,
He's
I'm
not gonna
saying
respond to it. Go, Toxic.
I heard your argument. I respond to that again. Some attention. I think I already responded to everything at the moment. But like, so yeah, given that your character has parts and such, like, how are you gonna justify like your character winning against my character, supposing that my character, for example, is divinely simple? Like, it's not to be contradictory unless you're gonna have like an argument for how like true contradictions can occur in.
Yeah, I already asked you for the contradiction of. Firstly, I asked you to prove that your character is divinely simple. Secondly, I asked why is it the case that
Yeah, I'm
when you
gonna do
speak in
that, but
terms
I'm
of
saying
essence,
like
it's something
supposing
to
that my
hold on.
character, no,
Wait,
Oh my
it's fine.
god.
You can
Oh my
talk.
god. Yeah, I literally
It's fine.
asked
You
you
can
for the
talk.
logical contradiction. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you said I can be talking when I'm talking. I understand that's why I'm speaking. So when you say that, I was about to say mute X Storm, bro. Yeah. So when you say that, what's it called? But yeah, what character going to be defeating your character that's divinely simple? I asked you, what's the logical contradiction between your character being divinely simple and it losing? If it's the case, your character is divinely simple.
okay. Yeah, okay. I gotta mute this random dude in the background. Hold on. Where's this nigga at, bro? By the way, Toxic, you're unmuted.
Oh, like, is he
Got that
done
out?
then? Like,
I don't know.
are you done, Hermes, bro?
He went on mute, so I'm assuming.
Yeah, I just asked you what the logical contradiction is. That's what I asked you,
Yeah,
because you said that it
I was
seems to
gonna
be
say that
logically contradictory.
my yeah, my argument at hand was not that my I was saying, supposing that my character has divine simplicity, how are you gonna argue that your character beats my character if my character has no pause to be attacked to begin with? And like the reason why I said supposing is because like since you're claiming that your character is gonna win in under every condition, then obviously like your position is going to be inclusive of your character beating my character, regardless of whether or not my character has divine simplicity. So it's like a hypothetical, right? Given that your position that it's like divine simplicity in fiction, so I'm just asking how you're going to cash that out if there are no parts for your character to like beat or destroy to begin with. So
yeah, distinct from saying, well, when you say pausing only in reference to aspects, again, I'm asking what's the logical contradiction between my characters in the sense that if something is indivisible, the case that my character subtracts it completely. Like, I don't understand the logical contradiction there. You're just saying that how's my character doing this? I'm asking you.
Like,
yeah, what's the argument for that?
what's the argument for
You're just saying that
like
there's no
divine
part.
simplicity, like not be. Yeah, like yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, I can like give a justification for that. I guess I think it's like weird though. But like yeah, like the divine simplicity just means that the character, not even the character, just like for example, right, will not be exhausted by what God creates. So obviously there's nothing to subtract, even if God produces everything else. So I'm not really sure like how you're gonna subtract anything if like the implication of divine simplicity is that nothing can be subtracted. So
Wait, did you say that there's no relation between what God can create and him? Also, make
no,
clear
I
on
said
the wording they
God
used.
does not get exhausted by the
Oh
production
yeah,
of all
exhausted.
things.
Yeah.
Is producing all things. He's not producing by action. Just talk about the chain of being instead of like giving something like in terms of action to another thing. So
Yeah. So I want you to explain what you mean by it's going to be doing it by something that's causal without some sort of action. And why is it the case that just because it's not exhaustive or it creates relative to itself, why is that an argument as to say that it has no parts? And secondly, that because if it's the case that it has no parts, that those things for some reason can't be defeated. I don't see the argument there. And also, it's just the case that I think what you explained for the divine simplicity. Hold on. Yeah, what's the argument to analytic?
what? You want me to like do
What's
what?
the
Like send a fucking PDF of like say divine simplicity has no parts? Like, well, what do you
wait?
think would count
Someone
as a
saying
justification?
that it says that. Someone saying that it says that. I want you. So hold on, just to be clear. Even in the case that said that about divine simplicity, I want you to like give an argument as to why that over your sort is a divine simplicity. And
no other
secondly,
divine
again,
simplicity.
I'm asking when you say no parts, if that just means hold on, you said there's no other divine simplicity. Please prove that. I think what sort of semantics being used is going to be relative to the individual making those terms. So when you say that there's no other sort of term, someone can use divine simplicity. Like just make a statement right now. This is divine simplicity that means poo poo butt shit.
I mean,
So I don't
why
see the
would I
argument.
have that when you're the one who's shifting the burden? Because you're presupposing that
Sorry,
there's
how's that
such
shit
a
with the burden?
type of divine simplicity that's better than another divine simplicity.
Yeah. So
Like
when
you're
you say
just
that
shifting
I'm
the
shifting,
burden.
I
Beg
don't
me
see
to
the
prove
argument as
that
to why I'm
that's
shifting
not
the
the
burden. You're the
case.
one
You're
that wait.
presupposing
All right, bro.
Yeah, I don't know why you said that I'm shifting the burden when you're the one that made the claim that there is no other type. So I'm asking for the clarification
I was
evidence to
responding
believe
to
that
you.
there is no type of divine simplicity. Sorry, say again?
Yeah, I was responding to you saying there's a type, or implicitly that there's a type. So obviously you're gonna have to justify that.
Yeah, so my justification I already gave
I don't
was
believe I have to justify that
oh my
because it's a negative claim to begin with. So
Oh my god.
so you
holy.
denying.
Secondly, it's just the case that what do you mean by because it's a negative claim you don't have to justify that. Please give the argument for that. What the fuck does a negative claim
That's
even
not what
mean?
I said.
You're affirming the you're
That's not what I said.
okay, well, okay. What did you say then real quick?
So I think like this is
You don't
just a
understand.
type of epistemic defeasibility. It's not me making a claim that needs justification. I'm just saying you cannot make that claim because you did not justify it to begin with. So I'm just
It's a type of
undercutting your
what? Epistemic
justification.
what? You're like unironically your mic
Defeasibility.
muffled out of it when you said
The feasibility, bro.
what? The feasibility, okay. Yeah.
Epistemic
What does that even
defeasibility.
mean to say? What does it even mean to say when you say epistemic defeasibility?
I don't believe you're justified in saying your character. Oh, sorry. I don't believe you're justified in saying that there's a type of like this divine simplicity that's like this thing from another type. This is just what I mean when I say like you know it's gonna be like a type of like epistemic defeasibility to just deny that statement. So
Yeah, okay. So when you said that you don't think I'm justified, I don't understand why you believing that you're just going to somehow map into the conversation or some sort of justification towards the case that there is. I have no justification to say that it is the case. Secondly, you said it's a negative claim. When you say negative claim, firstly, what does it even mean? Secondly, it is the case even if you're affirming the non-existence of something. to say that something does not exist. That's insane to say. And I believe that some terms. Yeah, the first point is you said that your epistemic feasibility makes you believe that there's no sort of justification I can make to make this claim. I'm asking, why is it the case that you believe these things is going to somehow map over to this conversation and give justification that I cannot give him? And then I also asked you, I also gave the argument, like this is the third point I was going to make before you cut me off, was that yes, terms are going to be relative to the individual making those terms, or the definition ascribed to that term. So when you say that this term has no other meaning, I want you to prove that no other person, when they make this term, express this term, can ascribe no other meaning towards it.
I was not saying that you cannot be justified in doing that. I was saying currently you're not justified in doing that. That's literally just it. So I don't know, like, where you went on like a 3-minute rant to explain something that's really unrelated to my argument. So
You didn't believe the thing I just said was related to your claim?
I mean, like, can you explain how it's like relevant then? Maybe I missed something.
Which point? Which point? I made like 3.
Yeah, like the point where I said, like, I don't believe you're justified currently in saying that there's a type of divine simplicity that's distinct from another type, because that's what you're implying.
Yeah, because I'm just saying that when you say you don't think I'm justified currently, I'm saying, why does you thinking that I'm not justified currently map into the conversation? Because I gave some sort of justification and gave some sort of credence. I believe that is the case relative to.
That's why.
Yeah, again, you just saying that you believe that it isn't the case that I justified anything's conversation doesn't somehow prove that. That's what's in question, is whether or not you thinking
What?
that
You
is
want
going to
me to
somehow
prove
this
you not
conversation.
justify anything?
What?
Bro.
That's not my claim. That's not the claim I'm making.
You
That's
want
not
me
the
to
claim I'm making.
prove that, like,
That's not
you're
the claim
not
I'm making.
justified? Like, you're not justified, like, there being
That's
a
not the claim I'm
distinct type
making.
of, like, divine simplicity. Okay, what do you...
No, yeah, all I'm saying is that you saying that justified is not going to map everything to the conversation. So you're saying that it's completely irrelevant. My argument as to why I believe that it is. So, how do you believe that it is the case? Because you believe that I have given no sort of justification.
Like, in this case, say, like, when I say, like, I'm undercutting, like, your evidence, it's just because, like, you not provide sufficient evidence for your position to begin with. You just made a claim in a vacuum.
Yeah, I think that. But I'm basically, you have that sort of that sort of claim. That, yeah. Oh my god. Just because it's the case that you believe that I gave no sort of justification towards my claim, I'm asking, why would that map over to the conversation? I said I gave independent resources as to why I should believe that it is the case. There could be other meanings ascribed towards the term. Also, again, you didn't even explain the negative point. You said it's a negative point to say that when you definitions towards this thing, if you're not going to respond to it, I don't really give a fuck.
Like,
do you want me to repeat anything I said? Like,
related to, like, a type of epistemic divisibility. But, like,
okay.
I don't know, like, what you actually asking me to do. Are you asking me to, like, justify, not justify, or you not having justified, like, there being distinctive types of divine simplicity? So what are you asking me to do?
No. For the first point, all that means to say is that you're just expressing your opinion, right? So I'm not saying that's meant to be a point that's going to let credence to your claim.
So what do you want me to do?
Like, I want you to respond to the justification that I just gave.
Hermes,
if you believe it's the case, my justification.
Hermes, did you justify, like, there being distinctive types of divine simplicity? It's just a simple yes or no question then.
When you say types of the simplicity, sort of criteria should be holding to, and there'll be different types of that in the case that when someone says this term, they express this.
What you're asking? What do you mean, like? What do you mean, like, you're asking for a criteria? What does that mean? I was just asking, like, if you believe that you've justified, like, there being distinctive types of divine simplicity.
That's So when you say again, like, when I say criteria, I mean there's some sort of features in which this term has to relate to, right? So, like, given the case that we give a definition towards, I don't know, like pools, we understand there's certain mechanics or traits towards a pool, and there's going to be different types of pools. So different sort of properties independent of what makes up a pool that can still change what type of pool this is. So I'm asking for the initial traits for divine simplicity. All you've said so far is that someone said this thing once that has no parts. I'm asking why is it just because this one person ascribed this sort of meaning some divine simplicity, while map over to every single use of the words that can join together to make the term divine simplicity.
The reason why it's relevant in this case for that someone to be as a justification as to why that someone is the person who postulated divine simplicity to begin with definitions so far, at least as far as I know throughout history. So if you know anything different, you can just like cash out like this difference of divine simplicity that you have. Like that's okay. This is really like a simple thing. Like I don't know, like what's.
Yeah, this is stupid as fuck. Yeah, this is stupid as fuck. Hold on, this is stupid as fuck. So just because someone made a claim, made a term, and they scrapped some sort of definition towards that term, the time someone makes it or states his term, or expresses
I was
term,
not saying
in the sort. Okay, I never said that. I'm saying that okay, independent of every single time that it would express more. Yeah, I was gonna express more beyond that, dumb fuck. So like, let me actually finish my point before you cut me off, bro. So as I was gonna say though, somehow just because it's the case that someone may express this term, they ascribe this sort of definition towards this term, that it is gonna be likely to be the case that when someone else expresses this term, a definition towards it. So even you just what we did was appeal to again. And you have never seen some sort of change in this term that's independent to what I'm trying to claim. I'm trying to claim that, yes, it is a case that people can with some sort of other definition. Also, just because that you don't think that, you haven't seen some sort of change in this term, sort of change in this term could just be the case that it's something you don't know that's retarded as fuck.
I agree. That's like, I agree. That's why I asked to like give a distinctive account, like that you've seen like throughout history. So.
Yeah, and I said that an account of what something is, what a term is going to be relative to the individual making that term.
What?
Unless
you can go on. Go on.
There's like nothing else I really have to explain. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. In terms of that.
Oh, okay, sure. So I'm just gonna justify my character having divine simplicity. I'm just gonna.
Man, bro. Good debate.
Hey.
Why is this nigga asking what games do I need? Like,
there's
yes,
levels, bro. There's levels.
Damn.
Well, I'm my dick riding Hikari. How am I dick riding? That's cool.
Hey, man, so any inverse debaters want to debate? I think Maki's booty beast over verse. Let's debate.
Where are the Shiki scans, bro?
Inverse debaters are so ass, bro. I'm tired of this shit, bro.
These scans. I'm about to send something. Wait, hold on. Let me just. Amazing debate, bro.
This shit is boring, bro. I ain't gonna lie. There's no rhetoric, no jargon spam, no loud mic. Like, I don't know.
Jargon spam.
Make it simple. Be fuck.
Hey, bro. Yeah.
We got this shitty ass nigga Haram still typing the chat.
Nigga, a bag of dick.
Darn victim.
Fucking suck.
Darn victim.
Yo,
Bro, you would lose to
Hermes. Are you
Do
there?
I genuinely have to put some shit on my bio?
Yeah, I'm here. Hold on. Wait for that, guys. I'm here.
Yeah, so like the first scan just essentially talks about how the soul of the root is like something that cannot be called an archive. Or it cannot be like described any properly univocally. It's just something that's simplicity. And the second scan talks about how like
hold on. You mumbled on the first part. You mumbled on the first part. Like, ironically.
I can repeat what I said. Relax, damn. I was saying the first part is just saying like how it cannot be called an archive, as in it cannot be at anything univocally. It's just analogically, but overall it's just something that just exists simplicity and nothing more. And the second part just elaborates on that, saying that, you know, things cannot return back to it because it's too complex. And but the characters themselves are too complex to return back to the original source. So the addition to return back to the original source is just not having complexity.
So what does it mean to say that no sort of property can be applied towards it universally? Something along those
I
lines.
said univocally.
Yeah. You
Yeah. Probably applied in the same way as they would be in finite creatures. So that's just what it means.
wait. You I know, like your mic like fuzzed out a bit there. You said it can't be applied like what other things? You said something.
Like the properties that whatever properties that it would have, like it cannot be applied in the same way as it would for finite creatures.
Okay. So what does that mean?
And whatever likeness creatures have just means that they have like some sort of asymmetrical identity relation to it, not a symmetrical identity relation to it in any sense.
Okay, what does that mean to say when you say, because all you said so far is that it doesn't apply in the same way that finite beings do? What does it mean to say if it's the case that it applies to some sort of infinite being? I think that infinite sets aren't going to be anything expressive that can't be, I
No,
guess, like holistically
what I mean
negated, like
by
I was
that
saying
just
before.
means that since it is what I mean by that is just since it is just unity and like finite creatures are complex and have parts, it's just gonna the properties that it has is just not gonna apply in the same way that it does question. Since it has no fragmentation.
So all you're trying to say is that when the way that these properties apply to your character is going to be only applied in a sense that has no parts.
Yeah, in a sense that it's
Well,
unified.
let me read the scans. Let me read the scans. All events have a foundational cause and absolute first. The point where the universe began, yet also the point where it will end. At this point, there is an archive of all things, as it's less of an archive and more something which just exists. You can't record information. It just is. It has no will of its own, and a possible derivative either. It simply lets causes flow out of it itself. Almost like it's the fount of origination. So
Yeah,
firstly, I just
eventually.
want to say something real quick about your character. When it says it has no sort of intention, how's it going to be the kid going to try to defeat mine who has no sort of intent behind it?
I mean, like my character is just gonna. I was just like gonna argue my character just outscaling. That's literally what I do in every debate. So, but like my
This is meant
character
to be a verse
specifically
debate.
is
What the
like an
fuck?
avatar of it, so they can have like a certain degree of intentionality. But yeah,
So that just contradicts the scan you said.
it doesn't contradict anything. It's just like
Because the
hypostatic
scan says
hypostatic
it
union.
like has hypostatic union. Define that.
I just care enough with it in essence, even when they are. You know. Like the
So
accidents
even the
only
avatars are going
apply
to be
to the
unified.
body of the accidents are applied only to the character when it comes to being
Oh
an
God,
avatar,
Kelly.
like the body, not insofar
Yo,
as like
you go off ironically, bro. Like just repeat that part again.
yeah, I was saying like the accidents in question, like for example intentionality in this case, is comes an avatar, not my character as its essence in the soul of the root. So
Okay, so firstly, this
that I
verse
said is
battle debate.
hypostatic
So
union.
just saying. Okay, hold on. Firstly, this is a verse battle debate. So when you say that it's going to be outscaling, I don't understand how it's going to correlate to winning unless you give some sort of explanation, independently of explaining the way that is going to explain how your character can have sort of intention to defeat my character. You also said that the accidents of your character is something that can have intention. So if that's just the case, then all sort of scaling you're trying to apply to your character, so that it has all these features that you think are going to be in a way that my character can't defeat your character, then avatars that can have intentionality to try to defeat my character will lack that property that you believe my character can't defeat.
I mean, I don't believe like it would lack those properties because my character would just like outscale, which is just how my position works to begin with. But regarding the intentionality stuff, it's just gonna apply like with respect to the avatar only. So I'm just like broadening my scale here. I'm not like defeating anything.
Yeah, again, so I'm asking, so when you just say that your position is that it outscales, it's not what the position was at the beginning of this debate, because the debate was meant to be a verse battle, so I understand when you're saying you're just trying to outscale, that's irrelevant to what I was saying previously. But yes, again, if you're
Moody,
going to say that
shut
the
your bitch
character,
ass
sorry,
up,
if you're
nigga. This comes from my folder.
the fuck? If you're gonna say that
Alright, bro.
avatars are gonna be the accidents, then it's gonna be again what I just explained before. It's not gonna have the sort of attributes that your the main character or the true form has, right? So the things that can actually have intentionality to try to be a character, which again, I said I know that your stance just is trying to outscale, which again I explained isn't gonna map over to what we need, which is a verse battle debate. So when you say that you're just trying to outscale, that's not gonna map over to him winning. So if the only
I
thing that
mean,
can have
like,
some sort of intentionality to try is going to be lacking this property, which you believe makes my character not be able to defeat your character, then it'll just be the case that the thing that can attack my character will just end up immediately losing. Given the case that your thing is true, which again I haven't granted yet.
this is like this is what conditions that character wins all the time, and in this case, your character cannot win because my character divine is simple, and my position is just my character outscales, and that condition goes through. It's just that simple.
Yeah, no, just my scaling is gonna be independent of your character winning. So, or even the case I believe what you said is
That's
true,
not okay. Yeah,
then all that would be derived.
that's fine.
Hold on. Let me just finish. So I disagree. That I also want to argue against the scans you said as well. I still want to argue against that. So, secondly, like what's it called? Holy fuck! Repeat what you said before, but you cut me off. I fucking lost my train of thought.
Yeah, like saying that your position is just that your character is gonna win, and that's just that your character always wins. But in this case, that condition is not gonna because my character is divine simplicity. And like regarding like the second point, it would just be like since my position is just that my character outscales that condition is gonna go through. So in this case, your condition is not gonna go through. My condition is just gonna go through. That's how I win. It's just that's easy as that.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, explain real quick. Yeah, just because it's the lack of my ability. Holy fuck! Just because it's the lack of my character being able to defeat your true form character does not imply that my character will lose. It just be the case that if given the case that we've argued so far is true, which I'm not granting, then yes, it would be the case that my character wouldn't be able to lose. It would just be the case that my character couldn't be able to beat your character.
Hermes, your
So
position
in
is
this
that
case,
your character wins, not your character cannot lose. So I don't know like why you talk about your character not having the ability to lose.
you
Just because your character does not win does
know what
not
I'm
mean
saying?
that your character loses. All you said is just that your character is gonna win, and the reason why is because your character always wins in like versus battles. It's just that.
Yeah, this is independent of what I'm saying. I'm just saying that. Holy fuck! Wait, say that again. Wait, let me make sure
Like
you're not making a different type of argument. Like, ironically, I want to make sure you're not making a different type. I don't want to give you the type of argument I think you might. Say it again, real quick.
what,
Are you just saying that
what
it's that my position? Hold on, no, hold on. No, I'll repeat this and confirm or deny. Is it just the case that you're arguing that my position is that my character is going to win, and then you're arguing against my character winning?
your position is that your character is
Is it,
gonna win, and that condition is not gonna go through because your character is not gonna win. But it doesn't have to be the case that your character is gonna lose. And regarding my position is just my character
yeah,
is gonna outscale, and that condition is just gonna go through.
yeah. No, so I'll argue that definitely. So it's just the case that my position was going to be derived from the topic at hand, right? So the topic at hand is a
Alright, bro.
versus between these two characters, and the versus implies some sort of competition and who's going to win, right? So it's the case that even if a character doesn't win, that's not going to be excluding from my position to have, because I never give the position that TDK has to win here, or sorry, that I have to win in order to be a win. That if your ability went true, so came through, and all the things that compose it are true that you're saying, then it would just be the case that neither of us would win, because my character firstly would not win, but it wouldn't lose, which would be the lose condition in debate is your character losing, and then it would be the case that what you
The
said
only
outscaling.
condition
Hold on. Your character outscaling doesn't map over to the type of topic we had, which is a versus debate. So if it's the case that you have some sort of scaling that doesn't allow your character to verse my character, then it would be nothing. It wouldn't map over to some sort of win condition.
this
It
is
would just be
just
the
a
case that
cross
neither
verse
of us can
debate. I
win.
don't know like why you applying that condition like hyperliterally, but okay. But like besides
What do you mean
that,
by hyper literally?
yeah,
I'm just
like
taking it like
yeah,
the
so it's
term
simple
as
like
to
it's a
how it
cross
is. I don't
verse
understand
debate.
why I
It
wouldn't
doesn't
take a
have
term based on its definition.
Yeah, but you're the one who was arguing that terms can have like distinctive usages. But when I talk about like cross-verse debates, I just talk about outscaling. You can just look at all of my recordings, even including my debate against Jester. So I don't know
Yeah,
like
it's
what
fine if you.
actually is like controversial
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that. But besides that,
yeah.
the only condition that you gave for your character like winning in this case was just that your character win in all cases. But obviously, it seems that you're gonna like be giving up on that um position that your character wins in under every condition because you're not even trying to argue against that anymore. But like even beyond that, having an avatar, the avatar question is also omnipotent and can do everything. So unless you have like some sort of like like you create this some sort of defense against like the simplicity level omnipotence, then you can just like cash it out.
Yeah, hold on. Let me do. Yeah, so first when you said that words have independent meaning, it's just the case to interpret a word based on how it's normally used, right? So when someone says cross verse, I'm going to be interpreting it based on how it's normally used, even in this case you have some sort of idiosyncratic definition of it that you're using in this debate that's independent of how it would be interpreted or how people would interpret it when they agree to a debate. It's like stupid as fuck to say they use it in debates that have it's like retarded as fuck. your character has some avatars that are omnipotent. I think that's kind of contradictory because to be omnipotent means to be all powerful. If it's case that something is more powerful because you said that your character has a true form that these avatars are coming from, that'd be a contradiction to say that it's omnipotent. And yes, I get when you said that
Wait, how is
you
that a
said that
contradiction?
hold on,
Like you understand
hold
that
on,
only by its
hold
own
on,
when
hold
you
on.
respond to the
I
first
need to
point.
respond to something else you said. You said that I gave up on other points. I didn't give up on other points. I'm just trying to argue on your thing and how it would be mapping over to this conversation because I don't believe what you've given so far over to the type of thing you want, even if I granted what you gave. Sorry, the argument.
So are you done?
Yeah, I'm done there.
Yeah, like that regarding the first point, like you're the one who was arguing that words that's the first response that I gave, which you didn't respond. I don't think you understood that response. The argument that you were using was that words can have distinctive usages, and that was the first contention you gave against me talking about divine simplicity. But now you're backpedaling against that, your own standards, which makes it seem like you're writing. But like, even besides that, like you didn't respond to that like argument because that argument was just the standard that I was applying you that I got from you and I was applying to you specifically. Now, regarding omnipotence, like omnipotence with respect to divine simplicity just means that God can do everything that's consistent with his nature, not something that's contradictory to his nature. So I don't see like contradiction is going to be there for an avatar to have omnipotence, and there's true form to have omnipotence as well.
Yes. Wait, did you just say that omnipotence means to be able to do everything that's possible?
Yeah, everything is logically possible. Why would I talk about my
Okay.
character
Yeah.
having the capacity to do
Yeah.
like
I
true
respond to all of those. So
contradictions?
firstly, no. Okay. So see, when you said I was backpedaling, I wasn't. It's going to be interpreted based on how they're typically used. There isn't this thing from saying that words are going to be ascribed a definition dependent on the person saying it. All I was trying to get was an argument as to why this. When you said that it's a when you said that divine simplicity means this thing, it was meant to say, why should I believe that it means this thing when written in this text? So I given a reason to believe what was
This
said
is
before
this
means
is
this thing.
ratting again. Just to be clear,
It's not right. It's not writing. Everything I
because I
said
didn't
is
say anything
complete. No,
negative.
hold on. No. You're not cutting me off. You're not cutting me off. Everything that I've said
This
so far is
line.
compatible. No. Hold on. I'm not writing. You can think that. I've literally everything I said is completely compatible with what I said previously.
I
Motivation to
sounded
believe that
pissed. You
what?
said I sounded
Can you stop? Can you stop? What the fuck? Can I get some moderation?
sure.
So all I was trying to ask
Bro.
was a reason as to why I should believe some sort of motivation to believe that when divine simplicity is written in this text, or you haven't even given anything that wrote there, you're just trying to argue based on something else. But something can have an independent meaning. I'm trying to ask, why should I believe this is the case? I gave a reason as to why I believe this should be the case, even accounting for the fact that have their own independent meaning of other people because of the individual making that word and the type of definition they're ascribing towards it. So yes, people can have their own definitions. I'm trying to ask, what sort of motivation should I believe it's being used in this text? My motivation is to believing it's used in this text, or the other term that we talked about, not divine simplicity, is because that's how it's typically used. So all you could have argued there was divine simplicity is typically used in this case. You didn't argue that. All you argued is that rated in this way, which I argued why would that map on to how it would be, why I should be interpreting it in this way. You didn't argue for that at all. Yeah, and then you said omnipotence is everything that's logically possible. I want you to please the type of omnipotence that the characters that you present that it can demonstrate anything that's logically possible. Please, like you to give that sort of argument.
What sort of argument? But like, before I respond to the
I just
second
gave
point,
it.
I was gonna like respond to the first point. The reason why I said your point is I'm giving sense. So your argument just goes on like this 5 minute rant about text. Now that text in question I did not explain through that text how like it's gonna like be the usage of the word, which is what I was arguing to begin with. But like the entire point is just that the reason why like you're writing in this case is because I didn't give like a text to begin with, but your response presupposes that I gave a text, which is like really inaccurate to the entire conversation that we've been having. But like I don't understand what you're asking for in the second point. So what are you asking for? It's not a counter argument because I don't have to give a counter argument. Like what? That's not what happened in the debates. So.
Okay, for the first point, you
But what are you
literally
asking
brought
for in
up
the
a
second
text.
point?
Hold on. You hold on. I'll
I did
explain
not
everything.
bring up a text at all.
What the fuck? So, you brought up some sort of episode based on someone how they use what sort of text I'm talking about. Not something that you instantiated by fucking sending a scan in chat. I'm not talking about type of using. I'm saying something that you referred to, something that was referential. So, secondly, You asked what I mean. Oh, you also you tried to slip this in that you argued that you arguing that's the typical meaning. You never argued that. If you want to argue that now, please. I'm asking you for the reason as to why it would be the typical wording. Or sorry, typical interpretation we have of this wording, or typical definition being ascribed towards this wording. And then omnipotence meaning to say that it's of every single logical possibility. I want that argument. Why is it every single logical possibility and not just the case that some set of possibilities?
Were you asking for like something about like wording? I didn't hear that part before you got to the last point. It was just like the second point, I think.
I think I said that because you tried to like slip in this argument that you said you argued before that this is the typical usage of the wording that you're arguing for that. I was asking why do you like first you didn't even argue that
Wait,
initially.
which wording? Like
Secondly,
which
what
word
is the argument for that?
specifically were you like talking
For
about?
the word divine simplicity, because you tried to say that there's some sort of definition that's going to be ascribed to it typically. You said that you argued for that, but you never did. I'm saying, what is the argument for that?
I mean, that's literally what I was arguing for, but okay. I mean, I gave you leaving the point, so I'm not gonna really return back to that. I'm not gonna waste my time.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay.
so to like send a scan about like how like the characters who
Yeah,
are
just
divinely simple, how divine simplicity in general by itself just means that God can do anything that's logically possible, not something that's inconsistent with his nature.
sorry, say that again. No, it was just to speak of the omnipotence thing because you said the omnipotence is something. Is these avatars has sort of omnipotence something logically possible. I'm asking for that. Like send the scans and show that the type of omnipotence is going to be mapping over to all logical possibilities.
You want me to send a scan of my character having the capacity to do everything possible from contradictions? So that is just
No, because you said that the avatars of your character, you keep saying your character. I'm talking about the avatars of your character you talked about. That those things logically possible. That's all I'm asking for.
yeah. The reason I was responding in that manner to like the argument that you were giving is because you were saying that's going to be but I still don't understand like what contradiction is.
Yeah, no. When you say that, yeah,
Because all
that's
I was
why I
saying
asked you.
that was that my character has the capacity to do anything that's logically possible, so for nothing contradictory. So what would actually be contradictory with an avatar having
Yeah,
omnipotence?
I'll explain. So when you initially said omnipotence, that typically implies to be like the all-powerful figure that nothing can compare to. That's typically how that's used. But when you explain, like when you elaborated on
But
that,
it
that's
talks
why I
about
adjusted my
causal
claim to
power.
this.
What contradiction
Oh
is
my
there?
god, yo, bro, this is telling you how I adjust my claim to the thing you said. You said that it's only omnipotence in the sense that it's able to do everything logically possible. Okay, I've said okay, send me that. The fuck. So there wouldn't be
Yeah,
a
that's just how
contradiction if
divine
it's true that.
simplicity is. That's how I derived that. But like, where's the
Oh my
contradiction
god,
still?
if it's just going to be derived based on divine simplicity, it's going to be only relative to the true form of your character because you tried to say that avatars have this sort of omnipotence.
I mean, they have the same causal power. So like, what's the contradiction if in have this power is like the true form? What's the P and not P in that? It's just about causal
Wait,
power.
if the avatars have the same sort of causal power as the true form. Wait,
Yeah, like I'm asking, what's the
if it's
contradiction?
hold on. Yeah, no, you didn't check the argument. So the reason as to why I brought that up is because you tried to say that. So if this kind of killed your point because this is based on what we said before. What I was arguing before is because the thing that your character has is no intention. Have these same sort of features as the main character, then those avatars are gonna have no intention. It's just so forth that there's no for your character.
Okay, I already responded to that earlier when I said the accidents only apply to the avatar. So how is that actually a contradiction between the true form and the avatar? And still, how is that a contradiction for the avatar specifically to have the same causal power as the true form? This is just a simple question. I don't know like why you derail back to the conversation that we've already had about my character's like traits that are like asymmetrical to the true form with respect to the character's like physical form. That's literally the only part where like
You,
the main
hold on,
where the character has this
no, hold on.
like,
I just want to be clear on this real quick. Okay, I just want to be clear on this quick. You said you like you just changed what you said. By the way, you said that you're getting this sort of omnipotence towards the avatars as something that is derived from its divine simplicity. So, if that is the case, that these avatars are the same sort of divine simplicity as their main form, then the main form was sorry, it's gonna have no intentionality identically to the main form. You just like arguments, right?
Repeat the last part again.
Okay, you're just giving conflicting arguments right now. Is there something before you needed me to say, or is that what you're talking about?
That. So which part is actually conflicting?
Okay, so what you initially said is that they have asymmetrical features, and then you just said that you're only talking about its causal power. I said that the way you're getting this causal power to say it has omnipotence, able to do everything logically possible, is going to be derived off it having divine simplicity, right? And I said this divine simplicity, meaning these avatars are also going to have no intentionality and also going to have the same features.
There's
Why
things
is it
that
not
you're
work like
like
that?
overlooking here, because like when I say my character, the only asymmetrical features my character's accidents, and but the only way this accidents are gonna like halt my character's causal power with respect to his true form. So how are you gonna argue that specifically? Because if you're gonna argue that since it's derived from divine simplicity and my character has no divine simplicity, it's only an essential attribute and not the attribute that it has when the avatar gains form, then like how exactly are you gonna argue like this not applying in because the only accidents that my character has is not the causal power. So how are you gonna apply the causal power's
That's not what I'm
limits
saying.
with respect to the character form? That's not what you're saying, but that's what I'm
That's not what
saying.
I'm saying.
It's literally just it. Yeah, but
Okay,
that's
so you're
what I'm
saying that
saying.
doesn't respond to my argument about intentionality then? That's stupid as fuck then.
You're supposed,
I just want to
yeah,
read this
your
again.
intentionality argument is useless. That's the point. It's irrelevant.
Yeah, and you believe that,
Like
and then I
whether or
give
not
an
my
argument as
character
to why,
has
but this
some
case you just
attributes
respond to
that
that. Do you
well, all you did was say it's derived from divine simplicity, but my character has no
Mhm.
such divine simplicity because my character has accidents that this does not apply to the true form. But the only way for this argument to apply to the causal power is if you specifically justify how my character having these accidents with the power with respect to the character's true form. That's the only way.
Hey,
Just saying that my
like,
character
like,
does not have divine. No,
this
I'm
is
not
stupid.
saying that. I'm saying that now. I'm limited by my character's accidents.
Yeah, no, it's just the case that you said that your character, sorry, the type of divine simplicity, correct?
Yes, the causal power of divine simplicity, but in this case, the causal power is not going to be delimited by.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, okay, bro, I'm gonna trace back the
I
argument
know
one more
that's not
time,
what
and then
you're
if you're
saying.
just gonna respond like this, there's no point. I'm
I mean, we
saying
just
that
leave it
where
here.
you're
So,
responding to, no, I think there's other things also to respond to as well. Um, there's, I guess if you don't even leave that point there, that's fine actually. I just want to like relook over these scans one more time because on the scan you sent as well. So, it's just an outcome or something which. Oh no, it's
We can't do debate.
sorry. How does any of this apply to what you said before? All this just says that it's an archive of all things and it has like no will and it just exists by itself. What the fuck? Or has no? It just exists. How does
okay,
imply
yeah.
some? This is literally like different to what you said previously. Because what you said previously is that it can't be described as some sort of archive. Where the fuck does it say that?
Yeah, you're correct. I already justified like that. So how do you want me to return back to the point that I've already justified?
No,
But if you
you,
feel I didn't justify, we
no, no,
can
it's
just
not.
leave the recording here. So
No, it's not. No, 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 it's not the case. You said that you justified it, but and you said that it. You know, where the fuck does it say that?
what not say?
That it can't be like encapsulated as an archive. All it says that it's the archive of all things. So literally, what I'm getting from this is just that it's like it just caused everything. I don't see anything that implies that it has some sort of divine simplicity or
Just
that
finish the
has no
recording
parts.
here.
Like,
Then I'm done. I think I already justified this.
okay, yeah. Secondly, I
In
just wanna
fact, I
like
already justified it.
elaborate my first. Okay, I don't believe you did, but yeah, I'll just go over like the first thing. Like I just want to elaborate my first argument again, just really quickly. All the scans that said that no matter what is written towards my character, that he will always win. It's just the case that I'm not arguing the pendant. Like, bro, we can just leave it here, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yo, Hermes, but